Welcome back to the Off the Ball podcast. This is like my second time filming. I literally filmed for 20 minutes and got interrupted by my friend Nate. Oh my gosh. But today we are going to be breaking down the Colts vs. Vikings game from last night, and then also a little preview of tonight's game, Chiefs versus Buccaneers. So before we get into tonight's game, let's hop straight into the Colts versus Vikings game. This one was interesting, in my opinion. It's because it was a slow first half and not much going offensively with both teams until the second half comes around, and that's when Sam Darnold starts kicking in, and the Colts just kind of stayed stagnant, and nothing really happened the whole game. Not a single offensive touchdown. They scored off a fumble, and it was field goals. So I want to begin with the Colts and talk about them. I want to talk about Joe Flacco and what he's kind of done for the organization. He's taken over Anthony Richardson's spot, who was one of the first quarterbacks picked 2 years ago in the draft. And old Joe Flacco, who is the second oldest quarterback currently playing in the league, has replaced him. Old AR and Joe Flacco coming from the Browns, and also winning a ring with Baltimore, is now in Indianapolis, which will probably be his last landing spot potentially as an NFL player. But last night it was sloppy, sluggish, not much going on. A lot of their foot was on the brake pretty much the whole time. There was it's as if the green light appeared and they just stayed in the turning lane. They weren't going. Joe Flacco, 16 for 27, 179 yards, 1 interception. I like Joe Flacco. I think he's a good quarterback. And people, especially at college, say Joe Flacco's a future Hall of Fame quarterback. What are you talking about? Is it because he's statistically good? Is it something he does in the play? How is he Hall of Fame worthy? That is a question to be answered. How is he Hall of Fame worthy? I would like for y'all to ask that and answer that for yourselves. Because for me, yes, I think Joe Flacco's a solid quarterback, but he ain't Hall of Fame worthy. What has he done? I mean, he won a ring. So did Trent Dilfer for the Ravens back in, 02, 03, whenever they won. But in last night's game, I know he's old, and just in his whole career in general, he hasn't done like the most remarkable thing that would seal him as a future Hall of Famer. But despite that, we're talking about last night's game and sluggish, sloppy offense. Jonathan Taylor, their guy who led the league in rushing a few years ago, 13 carries, 46 yards. 48 yards. Not much going from him as well. And Josh Downs as well, their leading receiver, 6 receptions and 60 yards. 2 words come to mind when I really think of the Colts last night, and that's ineffective offense. They had 2 completions for more than 20 yards. Just 2 completions. That's it. Nothing else. What just okay? I'm recording this and balloons just flew right in front of my. What was that? Did that get caught on camera? What the heck? That was interesting. Okay, how did I do that? Whoa! If I hold up a peace sign, balloons. That is interesting. Okay, didn't expect that. Interesting. But yeah, 2 completions for more than 20 yards. That's unacceptable. Also, a lot of missed open receivers. There was times where a receiver was within 5, 6, 7 yards where Joe Flacco just overthrew it. And as a Packers fan, I'm not going to get biased here, but as a Packers fan, I lived my whole life watching Aaron Rodgers and how efficient he is, throw dimes, rarely overthrow guys, rarely threw interceptions. So for a guy like Joe Flacco to overthrow a wide receiver, I wouldn't want him on my team. But this isn't my team. The Packers aren't the Baltimore. Sorry, that was a long time ago. The Indianapolis Colts. Joe Flacco is with a whole different organization. Your quarterback is Anthony Richardson, and as of right now, I'm calling AR a bust. I'm calling him a bust. Hasn't done much. Injury prone player. And Joe Flacco, at this point in time, at this point in the season, is their starter. And I'm not complaining as a fan because I haven't seen much from Anthony Richardson. I've seen Joe Flacco. I saw what he did in Cleveland. When I was a little child, I saw what he did. We hosted the Super Bowl at my house. I saw what he did against the 49ers in the Super Bowl. He gave them a ring. He was valuable. I think he's valuable for this Colts team. My hand's raised because I think he should start. He had a better completion percentage than Anthony Richardson, but we're going into week 10 as if I was Shane Steichen, the Indianapolis Colts head coach, I have to choose Anthony Richardson, Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson, Lois, Ihorn, Lois. Who am I choosing? I'm choosing Joe Flacco. You're not injury prone. You're a veteran. You're reliable. Heck, why didn't Cleveland re-sign Joe Flacco? Man, I would have taken him if I was the head coach or the GM of Cleveland. But he goes to Indianapolis. Gardner Minshew, their former quarterback, goes to the Raiders. Joe Flacco came to Indianapolis in their eyes as a backup. Man, we got Anthony Richardson just coming off injury. Man, he's going to be doing a lot of stuff for us this season. Nope. Nada. Not a single thing. So, if I was in the shoes of Shane Steichen, I'm choosing Flacco. And here's the 3 reasons. I just said them. He's a veteran. He's reliable. Actually, that's his 2. I just got 2 reasons. He's reliable, and he's a veteran. Actually, 3. He's not Anthony Richardson. I want to move on. From that. But overall, ineffective offense, not good. Let's move on to the secondary of the Colts. And Props to them. Even though they gave up 21 points to the Vikings, man, their pass rusher, Grover Stewart, had a pair of sacks. He was the reason Darnold fumbled, which led to their only touchdown of the game. So props to Grover Stewart. And the Colts have an underrated defense, in my opinion. You got E.J. Speed. You got Zaire Franklin. You also have Nick Cross. Those three players are top 10 in tackles this season. And two of those players, in Zaire Franklin and Nick Cross, both had an interception last game. Or yesterday. I mean, they, in my opinion, have an underrated defense. I might be mistaken. I don't know. But from the looks of it, man, you have three players who are top 10 in tackles. I already put them, staple them to the wall as the best tackling team in the league. I mean, statistically, they are. Who's going to argue with me? Who is going to argue with me? Try me. You're not going to win. But also, in Grover Stewart, they perform defensively well. And I'm not saying, well, even though their defense did good, they still lost, so their defense isn't good. It's because their offense really couldn't keep up. And I believe that's the reason. Their offense really couldn't keep up with the Vikings offense. They couldn't keep up. Even though the defense did good, an offense still has to play the game. The defense doesn't play the whole time. They don't play the full, 15, 30, 45, 12, 24, 36, 40, 45 plus minutes. Is it 12-minute quarters? I'm getting mixed up with the NBA. I'm getting mixed up with the NBA right now. But however long it is, there are two sides of the ball, an offense and a defense. And now I look at the Chiefs. I look at the Lions. Both defenses and both offenses perform at the same clip. They're both efficient. That's what makes a team perfect, and that's what makes a team good. I look at the Colts. They're now 4-5 after this loss. Their offense played bad. Their defense played good. It doesn't matter. You're playing against a great offensive team in the Vikings. And for an offense that can't keep up, it doesn't matter how good your defense does because your offense can't do anything. And they showed that last night. Also, lack of coverage. I saw a lot of lack of coverage in last night's game. They focused too much on the pass rush, even though that helped. Even though that helped them tremendously, it gave them points. Man, you have a guy named Justin Jefferson who's all the way down to the 70-yard line, or not 70, the Colts' 30-yard line, while Sam Darnold is on his own 30-yard line, and Justin Jefferson is getting guarded by a guy who's young, who doesn't have as much experience. Justin Jefferson's going to beat him. He's better, more IQ, faster, quicker, smarter. Justin Jefferson's the best. Top 3. He's not top 5. He's top 3 wide receivers in the league. You can't single-handedly guard him. They play too much single coverage. If you're guarding a guy who's probably the most talented wide receiver in the league today, you need to double coverage this man. He is a threat. He is LeBron James on the wide receiver end of the ball. He is the LeBron James. That's a kind of a terrible analogy. I don't even know what I'm saying. But you kind of understand what I'm saying. He's the best. He's good. In the NBA, you're double teaming Giannis. You're double teaming Jokic because you know what they can do on the floor. You know what Justin Jefferson can do on the field. He can catch. He's an excellent route runner. Even though Sam Darnold's their QB, that doesn't scratch off the fact that Justin Jefferson is excellent. He's always going to be good unless he tears his ACL and is just his athleticism just fades away. But he will always be great. He's a generational talent. So for a team who came to the game playing single coverage on Justin Jefferson, you're going to fail. And that's what happened last night. I mean, they gave up 137 yards. And that's the most by a Colts opponent. The stats say what they say, and it shows why the Colts most likely gave up the game. They played the Bills on Sunday, and after watching this game, I think the Bills are just going to smother them. I mean, you have Josh Allen, who's a true, legitimate MVP candidate. They have a better offense than the Colts. Obviously, after this game, Colts can't keep up. They have a better defense. Honestly, it can go either way, but I'm just focusing on offense. Colts can't keep up. Bills are stacked offensively. Roadkill. Let's move on. Vikings. Interesting for performance from the Vikings. As a Packers fan, I do not like them. But as a NFL fan, it's beautiful. Sam Darnold, 28 for 34. 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Even though his interceptions were sloppy, and I see Sam Darnold as I watched him on the Jets, I watched him in Carolina. We're going to see this from Sam Darnold. He isn't the best quarterback in the league. He's the lower third. He's not even top 20. I know he's had an excellent season this year. He may be top 20 this season, but when I look at history, he's a true kind of laughing stock. I'm not condemning him in any way. I like Sam Darnold and what he's done and what he's doing this season. Now, he's put under a great coaching staff and he's put under a great offense. But Sam Darnold isn't like a threat in any circumstance. But this season, he kind of is. And obviously a lot of that comes from, man, you got Aaron Jones as your running back, but then you got 2 wide receivers. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison. Those are your guys, and those are the guys they're relying on. But after this game, I see Sam Darnold delivering the ball to more than one player. You see Josh Oliver scoring 5 receptions, 58 yards. You see, Jordan Addison scoring 5 receptions, 42 yards, and Jaden Naylor had 1 touchdown. But you aren't relying 100% on Justin Jefferson to be your a prayer. He distributed the ball to multiple wide receivers, and they succeeded. I like seeing that. I also love seeing all-stars or Pro Bowlers. I love seeing Tyreek Hill. I love seeing Jamar Chase. I love seeing Jefferson. But I also like seeing quarterbacks playing smart, being able to distribute the ball to more than 1 or 2 wide receivers. And that's what Sam Darnold did in this game. He had a season high of 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. I would say he was a little lucky during this game because his defense really played well in what they did against the Colts, just allowing 10 points. But Darnold, on the other hand, played extremely well. And their defense did it as well. I mean, Colts had many chances to score, and they couldn't capitalize at all. Their defense, on the other hand, they've allowed 30 plus points in the last 2 weeks. So they kind of been stinking a little stinky. But in this game, they only allowed a single field goal. I said this earlier. They only allowed a single field goal. And they have made the most interceptions the Vikings has defensively, with 13 of them. And that's the most since the Patriots. I know in 2019, Patriots 2019 just blew that out of the water. They had 19 of them. But so far in 8 games, the Vikings defense has been the team to intercept the ball 13 times, most in the NFL. And then I want to hit on running performance. This is also with like the offense of the Vikings, obviously. But Cam Akers is moving down on the depth chart. He's progressing a lot. He had 6 carries for 46 yards. And Ty Chandler has been their number 2 guy. But Cam Akers continues to make his mark to be number 1. Aaron Jones is not number 1. They're number 2, Cam Akers. Number 1 is Aaron Jones. But I see Cam Akers. I'm pretty sure he came from the Texans. I'm about 90% sure. But he continues to make his mark. And he seems like he's going to be a great running back number 2 for this Vikings team. Vikings played Jaguars on Sunday, and like the Bills, Vikings are going to overlap and just tie this Jaguars team around. Better offense, better defense. Moving on. Tonight's game, we got the Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And Tampa Bay, they played the Falcons last night. I mean, not last night. Last week. And they gave up 276 yards and 4 touchdowns. And now I want to hit on the defense, because this Tampa Bay team is going up against a offensive team who, in my opinion, has struggled offensively. I mean, we see Travis Kelce, big Taylor Swift guy. I'm not a big Taylor Swift guy. Not me. Travis Kelce is a big Taylor Swift guy. Underperformed this season. Man, he may not even break 1,000 yards. He may not even break 700, 800 yards. He had his first touchdown last week, and against the Raiders, and he's just completely flatlined. And it's the same. It's the same with Patrick Mahomes. They're putting Patrick Mahomes as the number 1 guy to win MVP. Man, this guy is an interception prone dude. He has not looked like an MVP, and they expect this guy to be the most valuable player. Man, I can name 5 other players who are more valuable than Patrick Mahomes this season. I mean, you got Josh Allen. You got Lamar Jackson. You got 2 running backs. You got Saquon Barkley, and you got Derrick Henry, who are 2 better players this season than Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion. Even though this Chiefs team is undefeated, I'm not giving Patrick Mahomes the prizes, the gifts, because of what he's done for the team this season. I'm giving those prizes and gifts to the defense. Man, they've done exceptionally well. and I'll get to them in just a second. But for this Tampa team, who is going up against offense that's struggling, right now they're 24th in pass defense. They're in the bottom half. Last week, they had 2 sacks on 29 pass attempts. Right now, they're tied 7th in sacks. And they allow a little over 26 points per game of the season. And that's 28th. They're 28th in the league of doing that. And they're also 19th on third downs. So defensively, they're struggling, I'd say. I mean, they're 19th in third downs defensively, giving up third downs. They're 28th in points per game allowed, and they're good at sacking. They have a good pass rush, and they're good at blitzing and pressuring the quarterback. They're 7th in sacks, like I said, but somehow this Chiefs team continues to prosper. Even though their offense has struggled a lot this season, they continue to prosper and succeed. But I'm obviously giving a lot of praise to that defense and what they've done this season to help their team succeed. Offensively for Tampa Bay, they're 4th in points per game, 29 points per game. They're 1st on third down completions. That is a huge stat. Third down completions, and they're 1st at it. That is a huge stat. And we'll get to the Chiefs in a little bit, because it's almost like even though Tampa Bay is 1st in third downs, man, this Chiefs team is neck and neck with them. And we'll get to that in a second. Last week, Mayfield threw, even though they lost, threw for 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. One thing I do like, I love, he was sacked 0 times on 50 passing attempts. And then also, this whole season, Baker Mayfield versus the blitz has been excellent. He's had 7 touchdowns. He's had 1 interception while having blitz pressure, and he's throwing 130 passer rating. That's a high percentage. A high percentage. Also against the Falcons last week, Raheem Jarrett, he had 3 targets, 3 receptions, 58 yards. Rashad White, 6 targets, 5 receptions, 38 yards, 1 touchdown. Even though he played well receiving the ball against the Falcons, this Chiefs team they're going up against has been clutch up against running backs who are playing as a passer in plays. And we'll get to that in a second, and I'll show you why it's neck and neck. Bucky Irving, their running back, 7 targets, 7 receptions, 40 yards. Again, receiving wise, they did very well. Even though they lost, they did very well against the Falcons last week. Cade Otton, probably their number 1 guy they're relying on right now because of Chris Godwin being out, his absence, and Mike Evans' absence. They're 2 wide receivers. Cade Otton's kind of been their guy. I mean, he had 10 targets. He had 9 receptions. He had 81 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Atlanta Falcons. I said this last week. Cade Otton's going to have to step up. And man, he did. It was excellent. It was excellent play. But this Chiefs team, man, they've done great coverage against tight ends this season. Not as well against wide receivers, but against tight ends, they've been successful. Their rate has been very successful. And Cade Otton kind of being their number 1 guy now, this Chiefs team is going to do a lot of damage and heavy guarding up against Cade Otton. So I'm very interested to see what they do tonight. And then the Tampa Bay's rush offense They had 22 attempts on 102 carries, averaging 4.6 yards per carry, which is really, really good. Even though they lost again last week, they're still finding ways to play well under Baker Mayfield, who's living at home, who's on his playground in Tampa Bay. They're finding ways to compete, even though they have people who are absent, who are probably their most valuable players. And now let's move on to Kansas City Chiefs, and this is where it gets spicy. Patrick Mahomes last week against the Raiders, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. This is the second time this season that Patrick Mahomes has got in the range of a 90-plus passer rating. He had a 96.6 passer rating last week. And they're trying to give this guy the most valuable player award. Don't get me wrong. I think Patrick Mahomes is a good quarterback. But seriously? Man, you have guys like Josh Allen who's having the best season of his life, throwing the least amount of interceptions of his career. You have guys like Lamar Jackson, who's probably going to outpass his passing yards of his career. Who's successful in all sorts of ways and directions on the floor and through the air, who's just been phenomenal. And because it's Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't make sense to me. Why is he number one? Odds. He just hasn't been very well off as a quarterback this season. Has thrown too many interceptions. And he's only gotten in the 90s of passer rating twice this season. Just twice. Overall, Kansas City offense, they've only taken 12 sacks. They're tied 4th for the fewest. So their offensive line is very good. They have Creed Humphreys, who is excellent. And they have Joe Thuney, who's a good offensive O-line guy. So they have one of the best offensive lines in the league, which helps Patrick Mahomes because Patrick Mahomes can stay in the pocket. He can also get out of the pocket, but he loves it much more being in the pocket. So that's been a plus for them this season offensively, is their offensive line. Travis Kelce had the game of his life. Not life, of the season. He had 12 targets, 10 receptions, 90 yards, 1 touchdown against the Raiders. Finally, Travis Kelce does something good this season. He is underperformed, and it's been ugly. It's been very, very ugly. DeAndre Hopkins, they pick him up from the Titans. Don't know why D-Hop even went to Tennessee. I'm from Tennessee. I don't know why he was here. Maybe because of the city, the culture. But man, the Tennessee Titans are a bad team offensively. Will Levis has not solidified as a good QB, as a future QB. Also, obviously, Mason Rudolph isn't a starting quarterback. They're hunting for a new QB. And D-Hop, he comes to a team who just a few years ago made the AFC Championship, so maybe he had some hope. We didn't know what Will Levis was going to be, but he came to a struggling team who was somewhat rebuilding, trying to get to a Super Bowl, even though we weren't 100% ready. So now he's on a team who's undefeated. He can potentially go get his ring now. And, I mean, he's going to be a receiver. He ain't going to be like the D-Hop from the Texans or what he was on the Cardinals for a couple of years. But he's going to be a reliable guy. He had 3 targets, 2 receptions, 29 yards last game. And then Kareem Hunt, the guy that they keep on using this season, even though Pacheco's out. He had 21 attempts on 59 yards and 1 touchdown. So he's been pretty reliable. This season, the offense, the Kansas City offense has averaged a little over 24 points per game. That is 9th in the NFL. And they're second on third downs. What was it Tampa Bay did? I forgot. Tampa Bay was, drum roll please, I'm literally trying to find it. Hold up. They were 19th defensively on third downs. And this Chiefs team, offensively, is second. So this is where I'm saying is, man, even though this Tampa Bay team is good offensively, this Chiefs team is neck and neck. It's going to be like that during this game. I think Chiefs are going to win. Hey, Tampa Bay could win. But I think this Chiefs team is going to win just because of, even though Tampa Bay can do this, so can Kansas City. They always have something up their sleeve. They really do. Andy Reid is an excellent coach. And Patrick Mahomes can absolutely do anything. And Travis Kelce can play bad, and they can still be undefeated. They literally are a magical and perfect team. Even though they're struggling offensively, something has to go right. And their defense has helped out a lot this season. Now let's move over to the Kansas City's defense. They had 5 sacks on 30 passing attempts against the Raiders. Excellent defense, like I've said, multiple times during this podcast. 15 sacks of the season, though, tied 24th, kind of at the end of the train. But their blitz percentage has been very, very good. They blitz 35% of the time, a little bit over 35% of the time, and they're 5th in blitz percentage. And this is where I go back to, man, even though Baker Mayfield has been great under blitz, this Chiefs team, man, tied 5th in blitz percentage. Nobody can get away from them. They're always on their tail, on their opponent's tail. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable perfection, magical masterclass of a team. And it's like, man, we had the Patriots. We had the Patriots be a powerhouse for multiple seasons under a excellent Hall of Fame coach in Bill Belichick, under the GOAT in Tom Brady. We're in a new era where we have a future Hall of Fame coach in Andy Reid and a potential GOAT in Patrick Mahomes. And it seems like nobody can get away from them. I was thrilled when I finally saw the Patriots underperform, not make the playoffs. It's like, finally we can have a new team. And then the Chiefs come in, and they somehow get it done no matter what side of the ball performs badly. They somehow get it done every freaking time. It's unbelievable. Their defense gave up 2 touchdowns. And they had 117.9 defensive rating. Pretty cracked defensively. So that's incredible. And then like I said about even though against the Falcons, Tampa Bay, Rachaad White, rookie Bucky Irving were able to receive the ball well. I go back to this scenario. It's ridiculous. You have Tampa Bay, who has running backs as pass catchers performing well. Well, this Chiefs team, like again, you can't get away from them, has allowed these pass catchers to just perform badly. the opponents are third lowest. The Chiefs' opponents are third lowest when it comes rating percentage, like completion percentage and stuff like that. Rating percentage when it comes to a running back playing as a pass catcher against this Chiefs defense. It's incredible stats. It's not as strong on the tight end side. It's not as strong. They're kind of in the middle of the stack of the teams. But when it comes to running backs as pass catchers, yes, this Chiefs team can definitely stop them. They don't do it as well on the tight end side. So Cade Otton could perform very well, but they have all these random stats that they're just able to do. They're able to succeed, and it's unbelievable to me. The rush defense allowed 21 attempts, 33 yards, and a little over 1.5 yards per carry last game. And throughout the whole season, they've allowed 3.5 yards per carry, and that's second in the NFL. So their defense is a masterclass. Their offense is struggling, doesn't matter. This is a perfect team, like I've said all season long. It's the Lions and it's the Chiefs that are, in my opinion, going to the Super Bowl this year. Hopefully the Ravens. I would love to see them there. But, like again, the refs, man, they love them Chiefs. They love them Chiefs a lot. But it's going to be an interesting remainder of the season. We're heading into week 10. That means a little over 7 weeks left until the postseason, baby. Hope y'all stay tuned to the podcast because we will be talking about a lot of more NFL and NBA throughout the remainder of this year. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to follow all my social media. You have TikTok, you have Instagram, you have Twitter, or X, whatever y'all call it. Off the Ball with Clay Tillman. Type that in the search bar. Hit a follow. That'll be much appreciated. Also, continue to share the podcast. I love y'all's support. It's freaking awesome. And I'll see you Wednesday. Or, I don't know if I can do Wednesday. Possibly Friday. We'll have to see. I'm going to be busy on Wednesday. But hopefully Friday. We'll see. I love y'all. Thanks for listening. I'll see y'all. Have a good day.